long before the world knew Albert Einstein, before science changed forever, and before humans understood the mysteries of the universe, something arrived first. High above Germany, a small metallic object tore through the night sky. It wasn't a meteor, it wasn't a plane, and it definitely wasn't from Earth. Inside sat a tiny gray alien named Gray. Big black eyes, shaking hands, and one simple mission. Observe humans, collect information, and go home. Easy. Until suddenly. Warning, atmospheric instability detected. Gray looked at the screen. What does that mean? Boom! The ship shook violently. Gray panicked. Why is this planet attacking me? The ship spun out of control. Forest rushed below, and seconds later, crash! Gray slowly lifted his head, looked around, and sighed. Mission update. I think I live here now. Morning sunlight slipped through the trees as Gray slowly opened his eyes inside the crashed ship. Smoke filled the room. Half the control panel was hanging from the ceiling, and somehow one broken button was playing relaxing alien music. Gray stared at it. Really? Now you work? He stepped outside and looked around. Trees, grass, more trees. Why does Earth have so many plants? Then, crunch. Gray froze. Slowly he turned around. A small boy with messy hair and curious eyes stood right behind him. Gray panicked. Ah! The boy blinked and asked, "Why are your eyes bigger than mine?" Gray froze. His training covered first contact and staying calm, but nowhere did it explain what to do when tiny humans ask weird questions. Gray looked at him. Wait, you're not scared? The boy shrugged. Should I be? Inside the broken ship, a damaged screen suddenly flickered. Human identified Albert Einstein. Gray stared. Uh-oh. The forest had gone quiet as Gray sat beside the smoking remains of his ship with the strange little boy. Gray still couldn't understand one thing. Why wasn't this tiny human screaming? Back on Gray's planet, if something fell from the sky, everyone would panic. But this kid, he was sitting there like they were already friends. Then Albert reached into his pocket. Want to see something strange? Gray's eyes widened. Albert pulled out a small metal object. My compass. Gray stared at the tiny needle inside. Then suddenly, the needle moved. Gray jumped backward. Ah, it moved! Albert blinked. Yeah, that's what it does. Gray stared in shock. No power source. No technology. Invisible force. I don't understand it either. Then he looked at Gray. But I think invisible things are everywhere. Inside the damaged ship, a screen suddenly flickered. Warning, human curiosity level. Unusually high. Gray stared at Albert. Uh-oh. The small compass rested in Albert's hand as the tiny needle kept pointing north like it knew something nobody else did. No wires. No power source. No technology. This makes absolutely no sense. Albert smiled. You seem really surprised. Gray nodded. On my world, things move because something makes them move. Machines. Energy. Technology. Nothing just happens. Albert looked at the compass and said, I think invisible things control visible things. We can't see the wind, but trees move. We can't see what moves this compass, but the needle follows it. Gray froze. Back on his planet, people stopped asking questions because they already had answers. But Albert looked up at the sky and asked, Do you think invisible things exist up there too? Gray almost answered immediately. Oh, absolutely. Then he froze. Albert looked at him. Absolutely what? Gray panicked. Absolutely lots of clouds. Albert stared at him. That is a really weird answer. Inside the damaged ship, warning lights suddenly flashed. Caution subject. Gray approaching historical interference level 2. Days slowly turned into weeks, and somehow against every mission rule, Gray kept coming back. Every night he left his damaged ship hidden deep in the forest. And every night Albert was already waiting near the same old tree with the same smile. At first things were awkward. Very awkward. Albert kept asking strange questions. Do aliens have birthdays? Do aliens go to school? Do aliens have hair? Gray answered yes. Yes, some do. Albert looked at Gray's head and suddenly went quiet. Gray narrowed his eyes. What was that look? Albert quickly said nothing. Night after night, Albert kept asking questions about stars and life. And Gray slowly realized something strange. He started waiting for these meetings. Started expecting them. Started enjoying them. On his world, friendship was never important. But humans were different. Humans laughed at stupid things. Humans asked unnecessary questions,